Welcome to TNS Horizon 2022. My name is Michael Johnson, TNS's Payments Market Managing Director for Asia Pacific, and I'm joined here today by Andy Stewart from Z Energy and Joshua Alcock from Fortinet. And we're here to explore what drove Z Energy to implement Secure SD-WAN, what challenges they were facing, initial results, the role of SD-WAN in security and supporting digital transformation, and discuss the future of the fuel and retail and convenience. Before we dig into our topic, please allow me to introduce our speakers. Andy Stewart, Head of Site Systems for Z Energy. Andy is a seasoned IT professional with 30 years experience across the IT spectrum, including operations, software development, project and program management. Andy started his career in the Z Energy retailing sector and went on to work for global IT companies such as Unisys and HP. For the last 10 years, Andy has been with Z Energy, New Zealand's largest fuel retailer, initially delivering large-scale projects aimed at modernising the customer-facing platforms operated by Z, and in his current role of Head of Site Systems, taking responsibility for all aspects of Z Energy's mission-critical customer-facing platforms that include point-of-sale, payments loyalty, mobile phone applications, and secure networking. Welcome, Andy.
Thanks, MJ.
Josh Alcock is the Principal Security Strategist for Fortinet. Josh is the go-to guy for bringing security strategies to life at both a business and technical level. With over a decade in the cybersecurity industry, Josh helps Fortinet customers and prospective customers understand their security challenges and risks, and then helps them architect the solutions that deliver protection for their unique security dilemmas. And ultimately, Josh then assists the clients communicate the problems and solutions to their internal audiences, from C-suites to delivery teams. Welcome also to Josh.
Thanks for having me, MJ.
Let's begin today by delving into the Z Energy's managed SD-WAN experience, specifically touching on digital transformation. Today, businesses are undergoing digital transformation at an accelerated rate. Andy, from a retailer's perspective, what transformation are you witnessing in the industry?
I'd like to think that in my little corner of the fuel retail business, we've been transforming for a number of years. 10 years ago, we introduced a new point of sale and payments infrastructure specifically aimed at site automation. We introduced secure network for the first time back then, and pay at pump. Since that time, we've been steadily building and improving on that, more latterly with the introduction of some really cool features on our mobile app. And COVID has kind of enhanced that and sped that up for us in terms of how do we do contactless transactions for our customers, so they don't have to go into our store, they don't have to touch a payment terminal. So over the last year, that's across the sector, we're seeing a lot of that contactless work going on. From a Z perspective, overall, the biggest digital transformation that we've got underway at the moment is our supply chain. How do we, from getting a barrel of oil onto a ship in the Middle East to getting it into your car, for years that's been run off spreadsheets. We're investing a hell of a lot into digitizing that entire experience.
Thank you. That makes sense. And Josh, what patterns Fortinet was witnessing when it comes to digital transformation and security in the fuel, convenience and retail space?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing, as people kind of go down this journey of digitizing things, it's opening up your attack surface as you do that. And so it's about finding that kind of middle ground of delivering what you need to do so that everyone can do their job, but also ensuring that your protections are in place and that everything aligns with your cyber risk appetite. Retail, is one of the most highly targeted industries. I think last year there was around 5,000 confirmed data breaches just in retail alone. And we see in FortiGuard Labs about 24% of cyber attacks targeting retail specifically. So yeah, it opens you up, so you've got to ensure that you're protected as well.
Yeah, scary statistics. Thanks, Josh. Andy, how did digital transformation play a role in your decision to upgrade your network infrastructure?
Well, look, it played a huge role. Whilst our latest upgrade was born out of necessity, we've been thinking for a couple of years about where we needed to take our network next, particularly given the introduction of our mobile app and the features on that. So if we hadn't been forced into it, then the transformation alone would have dictated we need to do something with this network. We need to bring it up to modern spec to allow us to do what we want to do now and what we would want to do in the future. And that's true of all of Z. We're looking at exactly the same thing in our corporate and terminals networks at the moment. Of thinking about not even thinking about. We are actively upgrading that network to meet our future needs.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. That actually leads into the next questions quite nicely. Could you just talk about the challenges you experienced before the implementation of Secure SD-WAN and then what drove you to upgrade your network infrastructure?
Yeah, sure. So the network we had was over 10 years old, which, as you all know in technology terms, is ancient. As I said earlier, necessity forced us down this path, even though we'd been thinking about it. So the supplier at the time, even though that network had served us well, had decided that they'd fallen out of love with their own technology, and effectively gave us notice that network was going away and we had to do something about it. We were lucky. We'd already been talking to TNS for a couple of years, as you know. So we were really well placed to move straight into a competitive process of what's out there, what's best of breed, what do we need to do. So the trigger was the network getting retired, but it was a really good time to be doing it for us.
Yeah, excellent. And Josh, do you see similar challenges in other retail segments?
Yeah, we do. And this is when you're going through this process, this is also a really good time to ensure that your security's up to scratch as well, because we all know it's easier to build something with security in mind rather than bolt it on at the end. So it's a good part of a project to get everything, all your ducks in a row, and get everything squared up security wise.
Thanks, Josh. Andy, I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about the selection process and implementation of the SD-WAN solution with TNS. If you cast your mind back and remember, Z Energy undertook a formal process to test the market, as you mentioned, and the timing of which was at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. That introduced unprecedented challenges every party had to navigate. My questions back to you are, how was the process for Z Energy? What were the key considerations in finding the right solution and provider? And then if you could then lead that into, after you selected TNS, can you describe how was the solution rolled out across your business?
Sure. So, look, COVID brought some challenges that obviously no one knew how to deal with. I was days away from jumping on a plane to do the traditional RFP thing of customer interviews, review solutions, everything that I've known about RFPs for years and years and years. And then within hours, that changed. And I went from knowing what I know to having to think about how do I select a secure network vendor completely and utterly from my home office. TNS, the New Zealand contingent of TNS, were actually the last people we had in our office before lockdown to present the solution, which went really, really well. In terms of selection, once we got over we're remote, that's just how we're going to have to do it. We'd broken down our criteria into a few buckets. So obviously the tech solution was key. But ultimately, as important was supporting services, the profile of the company that we needed to work with. The transition plan was hugely important to me. We're a 24/7 business, and swapping out a secure network is not going to allow us to keep trading through that. So that plan was really important, and pricing as well. Look, the tech solution, as I said, was the most important part of this, and we needed a solution that was globally proven, highly secure for our current purposes, but also fit for giving both Z and TNS room to grow in the future. TNS scored really highly in most of the categories, and given that we'd already been talking to TNS for a couple of years on what they could do, who the company was, in the end, TNS were a clear winner in the selection. So, and we were really, really happy to be able to offer the job to TNS. The rollout, again, really interesting challenges, because we had to design this network. We had to get a group of people together that didn't really know each other, and come up with a design for 600 odd sites that could be implemented in a 24/7 business. From a TNS perspective, that involved people from right around the world. We were having design sessions on Teams, which for New Zealand times were great. For Australia, a little bit easy, not quite as good, but still easy. But for your folks in the UK and the US, it was a nightmare being up in the middle of the night. We got around those challenges, and every call that we had, every design call we had, was really productive. The TNS team really understood where we were coming from, and what was coming back to us, being reflected back to us about our solution was fantastic, and we were really happy with it. That resulted in a really high quality design, and that resulted in basically a network that just followed what looked to me to be a really well-oiled way for TNS to deploy networks. And for me, it just went really, really well. The data centers were first for that infrastructure, had no issues there. And then we just progressively rolled through 600 sites with technicians on site to do the upgrade every day, with very few problems. And you know what? I could sum it up with what you sold me in the RFP process, you delivered on. I got what was written on the tin. So, I ended up very, very happy with the end result.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate the feedback. Actually, it might be worth me just giving some background on the Z Energy retail network. As you mentioned, it consists of over 500 petroleum outlets across New Zealand, and that sits across Z retail service stations, Caltex retail service stations, which have two different flavours, and unattended truck stops, air stops, and marine refueling stations. So the TNS solution provides and operates FortiGate SD-WAN appliances, providing a unified threat protection security services at all those sites. And at the Z retail and refueling stations, we extend that the security fabric across an integrated Ethernet PoE switch. The solution is designed to be flexible to support the minor differences across those four site types, to match the Z's different business drivers for each site. Locking down connectivity across four different classes of equipment, from payment equipment, pump operations to retail internet. The FortiGate utilises the whatever communications underlay is available at the site, wired, VDSL or fibre, with cellular wireless backup for a maximum telecommunications availability, providing best availability across the heterogeneous comms layer. From a TNS point of view, our aspiration was to work as an integrated partner and part of Z Energy's retail team, to simplify the retail operations whilst providing flexibility to meet the the changing business requirements. And a question for you, Andy. Now the network's been running for over 12 months now. Can you describe how the network infrastructure operates today?
Yeah, silently from my perspective, which is a good thing. We've settled into a really good operational cadence. The network's stable, it's secure, and our ongoing program of change is extremely well supported by TNS. And from a security perspective, I think the recent Log4j issue that we're all aware of really highlighted to me the real benefits of working with a company like TNS in terms of it was a single phone call to TNS for me to get happy that Log4j was not going to impact on our network from their perspective or from a Fortinet perspective. So look, it's silent, and if we keep it that way, then I'm really happy.
And what are some of the early successes you've seen as a result of rollout?
Yeah, speed is the biggie for me. Transaction speed. We're a business where we have to be bricks and mortar. People still have to come into our stores and they still have to queue to get their transaction complete. And nobody likes queuing. So the faster I can get a customer out of the store, the better it is for every other customer. So we've noticed a marked increase in the speed of our electronic transactions. And, we're talking about people standing in front of our cashier, that transaction going onto our point of sale terminal or payment terminal, going off to central infrastructure and shooting all over the place before the customer can walk away. It's a really fast experience now. Another real benefit is the setting up of new sites or changing of sites, which we do on a regular basis. Being able to use pre-designed site templates has been a real win for me. It's essentially a single button press to configure a new site, or if we have a site change, it's as simple as a phone call by the on-site tech to TNS, and bang, away it goes. That contrasts to almost days and days of effort on our previous network to set up a new site. From a future perspective, we're constantly optimizing and building on our services, particularly in our mobile app space. And this network it's future-proofed us for everything we want to do there.
Thanks, Andy. On that theme, where do you see the future of fuel and convenience sector, 10 years from now?
Yeah, it'll be no surprise that fuel won't be as prominent as it has been to date, although it will still be a big part of New Zealand and globally. Convenience retail is where we're seeing a real growth and massive growth in other energy, whether that be EV charging or mobility as a service in terms of car sharing services and the like. And these are all areas that we are looking heavily into. From a technology perspective, we're looking at again speed, and I start thinking about 5G technologies, which can offer me even greater speeds. And from a mobile network perspective, mobile app perspective, those speeds across the network are going to be a real benefit for me. We're going to move more and more into doing things on our app, like pre-ordering. We can already pre-order coffee, but pre-ordering anything in the store, payments through the app, many things. And look, the 5G type technologies are really what I'm looking to enhance that experience for our customers.
Excellent. And Josh, from a security perspective, what are your predictions for security in 10 years from now?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's been a wild ride the last couple of years, and it's only just gonna get a little bit more interesting. The threat landscape just keeps growing quicker than ever. The attacks get more sophisticated. These new technologies that Andy talked about, implementing 5G, things like that. As they become adopted, we just need to ensure that security keeps pace with that. We've seen a lot of cybercrime, ransomware's on the rise. There's no shortage of victims for this. IT teams, security teams, they're just becoming, it's more challenging. I think it's just going to get more challenging. But it's not all doom and gloom. There's tool sets that are out there to help protect against this, to help make everyone's life easier. But yeah, it's not gonna slow down anytime soon.
Thanks, Josh. And I'll just, since we're at the payments conference, I'll just rephrase that question. I'll start with you, Andy, and just ask, how do you think the role of security in payments will evolve?
Yeah, look, I think as we start to move away from traditional payment rails, security is going to just play an increasingly huge part in whatever that looks like. Over the years, we've become very used to point-to-point encryption, payment device encryption, taking care of security. I don't think bulky payment devices on the counter or on the pump are the future. And I'm very much thinking about what is payment in the future. That doesn't involve a payment device, that doesn't necessarily involve a payment switch, for example. And that is where security and network security is really going to come to the fore, where we have to start thinking about that ourselves rather than relying on a terminal vendor to do that for us. So that's what I'm thinking a lot about at the moment, and taking up a lot of my time of what is the future of payments.
Thanks, Andy and Josh.
Yeah, no, I agree with what Andy said. And, currencies are changing. The ways of payments, how people pay are changing. We've just got to continue to secure these delivery mechanisms to ensure that everyone can continue to shop and in a safe environment. Well,
in closing, I'd like to thank both Andy and Josh for their insights they shared today. Z Energy has proved to be a great business partner to work for, and likewise, Fortinet a great partner to work with, and delivering the real outcomes for security-conscious clients. I hope you found this discussion enlightening, and I wish everyone a safe and successful 2022. Thank you.
Thanks, MJ.
Thanks a lot, MJ.